Hey guys, so we're live back outside the Pipeline Safety Advisory Board meeting. I would ask everyone to go ahead and start sharing this because shortly the Detroit Public Television, Great Lakes Now, are going to be interviewing Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians Councilor Percy Bird. So guys, start sharing this. I'm just going to flip it over to this, and this is the Great Lakes Now, which is Detroit Public Television. So he's just getting mic'd up, and they're having the decency and respect to interview a tribal councilman who was struggling to even be allowed to be heard at this Pipeline Safety Advisory Board meeting. So if you guys can share this out, because it's vitally important that the people whose land this is originally get to speak and talk about this pipeline. If it's not going to happen in the meeting, then it can happen out here and be heard on Detroit Public Television. So as you're sharing in, as you're coming in, just go ahead and share this.
I'm Mary Ellen Geist, and I'm with Detroit Public Television's Great Lakes Bureau, greatlakesnow.org, and we are here at the Pipeline Advisory Board meeting in Petoskey, Michigan, at Petoskey Middle School, and we just heard a presentation from Percy Bird, and I'd like to get a little background, and I'd like you to get your say your name too. Yes, we're ready to go. So first, state your name and title, would you?
Okay, my name is Percy Bird. I'm a tribal councilor for the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians in Peshabitown, Michigan.
We heard a lot of people, some of them shouting, "Shut it down." There were a lot of angry people.
Definitely.
And then, near the end, you had trouble being heard, and you had to be accompanied by somebody. So somebody coming into this, I was like, what's going on here? Explain what happened.
Well, this is the only thing I can say is that they make it extremely difficult to come in and talk. Okay, they say that you go to the website to sign up to come in and talk for your 5 minutes. Well, but then also come in and sign a card. Okay, so
you thought you were signed up already.
Exactly. So
people then lent their time to you.
Exactly. So I gracious people who, thank goodness, value what the natives have to say. We have a different fight. We're fighting a different fight, but we want the same results. Okay, we're fighting it for different reasons. We signed a treaty in 1836 with the United States government, and in that treaty it stated any environmental issues had to be consulted with the tribe. Well, that was never done, ever. I mean, if that had been done properly in 1953, we would have protested this pipeline and we wouldn't have this problem right now. Okay, so what happened was they put this pipeline in 1953 when there wasn't a lot of recording equipment around. People didn't know,
There weren't a lot of laws.
Exactly, no EPA,
regulation.
no EPA, that type of thing. So a lot of the policymakers who authorized this have long since passed away. The people that worked on it have long since passed away. So everybody's kind of forgotten about it. Everybody sees the Mackinac Bridge because it's above water. But what everybody forgets is the monster that swims beneath the water. Is the real threat. So quite a few years ago, the Grand Traverse Band had found out about the pipeline and we immediately sent in. We made a motion, tribal council session, to oppose the pipeline, and we sent all the proper paperwork out to the governor and to the BIA. We have to do it step by step, governor, BIA, and then we do the president. So we
you
propose.
sent it to the president
Yes,
of the United States.
all on down the chain. We don't just send it to one people. Desk, so.
Did you get a response?
You know what? We didn't. We didn't get a response. So, but what happens is Enbridge. They were gearing up for their hydro test, which we thank Enbridge for that. They reached out like they were supposed to. That was what the treaty stated. The state, however, when it comes to consultation, their record isn't as good. Okay, we'll usually we'll submit an objection to something. We're supposed to at that point get a consultation. What happens is we'll get a letter back, state of Michigan, saying, "Oh, we take your objection into consideration. Thank you for your submission," and they do it anyways. Okay, so that's kind of the extent of the consultation between the state.
Can you say what your objection to? Lay it out. What your objection to the pipeline is? Enbridge says that the last Pipeline Safety Advisory Board, an engineer for Enbridge said that pipeline is as safe as it was when it was put in 1953.
And they told you the same thing about Pipeline 6 too, okay? And that ruptured it.
That's the Kalamazoo River.
Kalamazoo River, 180-something thousand gallons,
You oppose it because you think it is not safe.
Yeah, well, there's two parts. There's, you know, the initial part, the initial that caused the tribe's response is it violates our treaty rights, okay? And when we say the word treaty, I think that's kind of, people take that a little light. A treaty is a legal binding contract, okay? When we sat down and negotiated a legal binding contract. And they continue to violate this, you know, this legal binding contract by not consulting with us. Okay, so that's one part. The other part is the actual threat to our fishing rights, our treaty fishing rights. Okay, this is a direct threat. That lake is who we are as a tribal people. Okay, we don't want clean water so we can go boating on the weekend. We want clean water so when we pull our fish out, we have clean food. You know,
water is part of your creation myth as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
The people of the Great Lakes, the three fires, that's the Great Lakes represents the womb of the mother. And all of us, no matter who you are, what nationality you are, you all spent your first 9 months of creation inside water, inside your mother being nurtured. That's what that lake represents. We all came, in the creation story, we all came from the lake. Our creation story, you know, that story is 10,000, that's the very same story is 10,000 years old, okay? So it's not like we made it up 150 years ago, you know. It's the same story from the beginning of time, and we like it to be the same story. So that's the tribe's take, is the two part, you know, is the treaty violation and the violating our fishing rights. So that's kind of a two part, you know.
So where do things stand now, and what are you guys going to do?
Well, what the Grand Traverse Band has done is we realized that if we were to just stand up here by ourselves, you know, which a lot of Native tribes do that, it's easy for the government to paint, oh, that's the angry Indians. That's their. What we've done is we made an effort to reach communities immediately. We've hooked up with Flow, For the Love of Water, Oil and Water Don't Mix, League of Conservation Voters. That way when we come to these meetings, we show the state it's not just angry Indians, this angry state of Michigan. It's all of us, you know. We all want that pipeline out, you know. And you'll sit up there and they'll tell us all these different supplies, 30% of the, but those numbers, those aren't right, you know. Those are fudged numbers, and it just, and once you get into this, you start finding out facts, and you know, it's a little disheartening that some of the dealing, shall we say, goes on. You know, it's like the safety rules are. I don't know who agreed to them at the state level, but you know, it's an embarrassment. You know, it's a slap in the face to our Great Lakes. It's like, it's almost saying that they don't care. You know, well, here up until recently they had a 10-day mandatory. If the pipe was to leak today, they could let it leak for 10 days. On the 10th day, if they called and said, "Hey, we have a leak," okay, well, you guys are within your safety guidelines. That's how the safety record, because Enbridge always says they have a great safety record, but that's how. I mean, and then who like I said, you start thinking about it, and who at the state level is agreeing to a 10-day mandatory 15 hours? Look what happened there. Imagine if you had a leak for 10 days. I mean, it's just catastrophic that what we're talking about, the devastation, isn't just a lake or a pond. You know, this is 20% of the world's fresh water supply. And if you were just to go within the United States borders, that's 95% of the fresh water within this country. And they're just treating it like it's a mud puddle for us to just drive through, you know, anytime we want. It's, oh yeah, you know, don't worry about it. It's safe. You know. Same thing about Pipeline 6, you know, safe as the day you put it in. But what they don't, when they put those things in, what they don't take into account is we got the invasive species. You know, we got these zebra mussels that attach themselves to the pipeline. It's encrusted. If you look at pictures of the pipeline now, it's encrusted with zebra mussels. Now, you don't think zebra mussels are very destructive, but if you look at, if they were to stick themselves to the bottom of a glass, you see they have very powerful jaws, kind of like octopus type mouth, and they just constantly, that's what they do, chew 24/7, you know. And there's many spots along this line that have the enamel removed because they call them holidays, and I don't know, that's an old maritime term I've heard. At first it was kind of insulting, like, well, they're calling it holidays. Well, they're making light of the whole situation too, but we looked into it and that's not the case. It was called, I believe it was an old maritime term, something like that.
They are saying, though, they're improving it. They did pressure testing this weekend. You're saying nothing they do is going to make you feel good about having a pipeline under the water.
They stood up there and said the same thing about Pipeline 6. You know what I mean? If they had never had an oil spill, but with one happening here, then there, then there, then there, now they're talking about this one. Oh, this one's safe. But believe me, those ones, you know, you get to be a little cynical after a while. So
We just heard that a vessel came through underneath the bridge last week and put down an anchor and dragged an anchor. So, I mean, we're checking on this. People are talking about that, but that is a scenario. I cannot
Yes.
say for sure that happened. We've
Yeah.
heard this report,
Yeah.
but I think many people don't realize that a ship could put an anchor down.
Exactly.
And we just heard, like with the high winds on the Mackinac Bridge,
Yep.
a trailer came off the back of a car and plunged to the bottom. The people were okay. The truck was okay, but the top, it was a piece of metal. It went down there. That could hit the pipeline,
Sure,
right? I mean, it's
sure.
just prone to accidents, is what people are saying.
Yes.
Prone to being damaged.
Yes.
So you want that out of there. We've got the Pipeline Advisory Board meeting today, the Safety Advisory Board meeting.
Yes.
What can they do?
You know, what they're supposed to do is take public comment and take it back for, you know, what is viable, what could possibly really happen out of all of these worst case scenarios, what could really happen. Well, really, you should always plan for the worst and hope for the best. You know what I mean? That you shouldn't just, well, let's not go all out just yet on a cleanup effort, because we still feel it's, you know, and that's kind of how the attitude, you know. Enbridge came and we had to sit down with them in the tribal council of the Grand Traverse Band, and I flat out asked them, I said, well, what was the reasoning, why would they run it under the straits anyways? It's a shortcut, basically, plain and simple. It's a shortcut. It's not necessary for it to be there. Yeah, and you know, at the time that may be true, but now they have a big pipeline that runs down the middle of Wisconsin and then over Illinois, and they could go totally around it, you know, increase the flow on those ones. But they won't. They keep insisting on this one is so necessary that Michigan can't do without it and the United States can't do without it, but that's just not true. You know, that's so. You know, the Grand Traverse Band has. You know, we've taken steps to reach out to, you know, the surrounding communities, to make as many people aware of the situation. A lot of people, you know, live downstate and they live in a big city, and you know, what does the Strait of Mackinac mean to them? You know, so we're trying to reach out to them specifically by holding actions and rallies and getting the word out.
And you said it's illegal. And do you think you could actually have a lawsuit and prove this was illegal according to tribal laws?
Well, that's what we're
It's
claiming.
illegal.
Yes, they didn't consult with us. Therefore, our opinion wasn't taken into consideration in the approval of the easement. So had we been consulted, we would have opposed, and the easement wouldn't have been granted. You know, so, and even they themselves they say today, if they were trying to build that pipeline today, it would not get passed. It's too dangerous. EPA would just say, you're crazy. You know, well, yeah, you're crazy. You're crazy. Take it out. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's been in there 65 years. They've gotten their money's worth out of it, you know, tenfold. Okay, it's time to take it down. The people of Michigan don't want it. It's the risk is too great. I mean, come on. It's like, you know, at this point, do we have to keep doing this? I mean, it should only take, you know, a couple of biologists to say, yeah, you know, that's pretty dangerous. If I was you, I'd pull it out. You know, but no, we get biologist after biologist after biologist saying the same thing, and it's just falling on deaf ears, you know. So at what point does the people of Michigan stand up and take the state back, you know? So we've been doing live streams, you know, trying to get the word out there. So we're going to have to get creative, you know. Elections are coming up. We're going to have to start doing live streams, calling out certain politicians by name. Let's put up their voting history. How did you vote? Here's your report card. Here's your voting report card. Let the public know who is really for the environment in our legislation, and who is not. You know, and that's really easy to do. So that's at this point, that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to use, you know, the public media to get the word out there and to educate people to how dangerous this is. You know, because really the state of Michigan depends on that's who we are. We're all Great Lakes kids. I mean, you know, that's how it is. I mean, we shouldn't have to fight for clean water.
Thank you so much for talking to
Yes,
Detroit
ma'am.
Public Television's Great Lakes Bureau, Percy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate everything.
Thank you.
What do you think, buddy?
So there you go, guys. That was Councilor Percy Bird speaking with Detroit Public Television, Great Lakes Now. Please go ahead and share this out. I'm probably going to jump back into the meeting and see what the business meeting's about. So I'm going to end this now, but go ahead and share this out to some groups, and let's get the tribal words out there, because they were not heard in the meeting today. There was a fight just to allow Percy Bird to speak. So make sure this gets out there, because this is what the tribe are looking at. Take care, guys. Bye bye.